What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. On today's episode of the Wood Rat, we have a little downtime, so I think what we're going to do is show y'all how to maintenance your thickness planers. So let's get started. Okay, now I have what you call a basic bench top thickness planer. I can plane up to 12 inches. It's a quarter cable. Runs on 2 blades. It's a pretty basic model, but it gets the job done. The reason you want to maintain these things every so often is, I'll give you a close-up here in a minute, is after you've planed so much wood, what they call the pitch, the sap that is in the wood, even though it's kiln-dried lumber, after a while it builds up on your tables. It builds up a lot on your drive wheels that pull the lumber through the planer. And before long, it stops pulling. You eventually have to keep pushing on the wood because the rollers are just not gripping the wood and pulling it through because of that pitch that's on there. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to take this apart. We're going to clean it out, vacuum it out, dust it, take some acetone, clean the pitch off of everything, the rollers and blades and tables and whatnot. We're going to flip our blades around. Blades are usually double-sided, so that when they dull, you flip around and use the other side. And like anything else that you use in a wood shop, it collects a lot of dust. So we're also going to be lubricating all of our screws and the pieces that ride the carriage up and down and things like that. So let's get to it. Usually 2 knobs, and it's going to be different from planer to planer. Mine has 2 knobs inside here that we're just going to remove, and that'll take off our guard or shield here that gives us access to our planer blades. Alright, now we're going to want to raise this thing all the way up as high as we can. Make it a little easier to work on, and we're going to need to be able to get underneath to clean those rollers off as well. Now mine has a little tool that's kept right here that I can remove my blades with. What I'm going to do first is remove these blades. And the reason I'm doing that first is because I want to get in here and clean all the pitch and the sap off of my rollers and whatnot. And I don't want to be trying to do that with them sharp blades in there. If I run my hand across those blades, that's really going to be a problem. This is your blade right here, okay? And this plate sits on top of that blade, and those Allen heads bolt it down and hold it in place. So you're going to want to remove your Allen head bolts, remove your plate. I keep a pretty strong magnet, is what I use to get in there and grab a hold of that blade. You get in there with your fingers trying to grab that thing, you're going to end up cut. It's almost a guarantee. So I get a magnet like that, okay? You see what I'm talking about when I say these blades are double-sided? This is the side I've been using, and this is my unused side, so I'm going to flip them around so that I have a new edge to cut with. All right, we got that one out. We're just going to rotate it around. Okay, now here's what I'm talking about. This is the pitch. This is the sap that's in the wood that builds up on these things after a while. So your blade mounts right on top of here, okay? And look at this right here. Can you see that? Look at the amount of pitch and tree sap that builds up on these things. It builds up very heavily, especially back here. I don't know how well you can see that. It is really, let me see here. Really, really thick. All back here where it throws that wood chip against that wall right there. So, and a lot of times too, what'll happen if you let it go long enough, and I'll have to admit, I probably should have done this sooner than now. I let it go a little longer than I usually do. And this right here is what happens if you do that. You know, your blades are in here. That pitch gets thrown and eventually will work its way up under the blade. And as you can see, I have a little bit of a high spot. I had a high spot right there in the middle where that pitch has just gotten shoved up underneath that blade so much that it built up right there. And I guarantee you, I mean, you know, unless you're doing fine woodworking, and most things I do anyway, I sand. You know, I really hadn't noticed that it had a little bit of a hump in there, but it's obviously there if that pitch is up under that blade like that. So this is what I'm talking about. We're going to clean all the pitch off of here, off of our blade wheel, and clean all the pitch off back in here. And then we're going to get underneath and clean off our 2 rubber drive wheels. Okay, I just wanted to give you all a good idea of how much pitch is actually coming out of this machine. Now, keeping in mind we haven't even done the rollers yet, which there won't be this kind of buildup on the rollers. You more or less take a rag and some acetone to those. But take a look at how much of this pitch has come off of this wheel, this blade wheel. All that is tree sap. Okay, we've removed all that from the blade wheel and from the back of the machine here. And we're going to get the vacuum now. We're going to vacuum all this out and get all the dust and everything cleaned out. And then we're going to get in here and clean these drive wheels. Alright, what we're going to do now, we got the carriage all the way up. These are the drive wheels I'm talking about right here. And as you've seen before, you can see that pitch build up really bad on these 2 drive wheels right here. You got an in and an out. And basically what we're going to do, because you don't want to take any type of tools or do any scraping or anything on these rubber wheels, because you will damage them. So what we're going to do is take a rag, preferably something, I grabbed an old sock, but you know, a washcloth or something like that. It has a little bit of texture to it, and some pure acetone. And we're going to use this rag and this acetone, and we're just going to wipe these rollers down as we manually turn them by hand, and that should clean them right on up. They should clean up pretty good. Look at that, you can see that pitch falling off the wheels already. As soon as I hit it with the acetone, that pitch just falls right off. Look at that. I don't know how well you can see that. Look how well that acetone just cleaned that rubber wheel up. Cleaned it right up. So what we're going to do is obviously be very cautious. We're going to plug this thing in, and we're just going to bump that button on and off so that it just rotates that wheel. And then we're going to cut it off, unplug it, clean it, and rotate again as needed. See those wheels turn? Might be a little tricky to get it stopped where you need it, but you can get it. See right there. There we go. Now we're going to unplug it. Get in here with our rag and our acetone again. Again, you can just see the pitch falling off of that wheel. This acetone is cleaning it right on up. Okay. Now I'm going to plug it back in again, make sure my hands are away from the machine. And I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to watch it. Obviously, it rotates a whole lot slower than your blade is, so it rotates slow enough that you can get a good look at it as it's going around. So I'm just going to turn it on, keeping my hands away from it, and watch it go around and make sure I clean that rubber wheel all the way around. Now I stopped it because I saw that we had an area that I missed. So unplug it, get back in here again. All right, plug it back in. Let's see what it looks like now. There we go. We got it all. It's clean all the way around. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the front drive wheel. Remember to unplug. I'm going to move around to the other side of the machine, make it a little easier on me. Okay, we have moved back to the top of the machine, and what we're going to do now is take the rag and the acetone again. We're going to clean this pitch off of here, and mostly we're going to be cleaning the remaining pitch off of this back wall and the blade wheel. Look at that. Look how clean that is. Takes all that pitch right off in there. Now this flat spot here where the screw holes are, obviously that's where your blade sits. So you want to clean that really, really well. See that pitch build up on there? Now look at that. That's how well that acetone works. Spin it on around, get a little more acetone on your rag. And repeat what we just did. All right, now that we have the blade wheel and the back of the machine here all cleaned up, we're going to move on to the table. Okay? Now you saw earlier, this isn't dust right here. That's not dust. That is pitch built up on the table, and that's on the inside, even on this stainless steel, and on the two in-feed and out-feed tables as well. So again, take your acetone and your rag, and just wipe it down and just keep going until it all comes off of there. This stuff cleans really, really good. It's going to get all of that pitch right off of that table. Look how clean the inside of that table is. That's how you want it to look. Now we're going to hit this outfeed table here. Now I'm going to do half of this so you can see the difference. Sometimes it can be hard to tell on a camera just how much pitch is built up on these things. There you go, look at that. Look at that difference. Go ahead and do a little quick wipe in here as well. Pitch doesn't tend to build up over here on the sides at all, but you do get a little dust build up and it can stick a little bit. All right, get the other side. Now obviously there isn't nowhere near as much pitch on the infeed side as there is the outfeed. Okay, now that I've got the tables and everything that is really important clean, I'm going to clean this right here. It's pretty heavy with pitch. Okay, the last thing we're going to do here, it's a little hard to see on the camera. This right here, there's one of these on each side. This right here is one long screw that goes from the top to the bottom. It's threaded, okay? And as you crank it, that's what runs your carriage up and down. Okay, so now while we have it all the way up, and most of that screw is exposed, we're going to shoot some WD-40 on those and lubricate them up. After we shoot the WD-40 on these, we're going to run the carriage down. Once the carriage is all the way down, we'll be able to get the rest of the screws that are unexposed at the moment. And turn it so I can get the other side. Okay, now I'm going to run the carriage all the way down. See how it exposed the rest of it? Now we can get the rest of those screws. I'm gonna shoot it, turn it, get the other side, and then I'll run the carriage back up again, and we will be completely lubricated. How easy that thing runs up and down there now. I'm gonna take it all the way back to the top again. And the reason I'm gonna do that is because now that we've shot that WD-40 in there, we have it all over our table and whatnot. We don't want that to get on our wood. It would affect our staining. So we're gonna get another rag, a clean rag, and clean all that off. All right, now our last thing to do is to put the blades back in. We are going to clean them, rotate them, and install them back in the machine. Okay, now let me show you what we've done here. Use the blades that came out of it, okay? And we want to flip these around and use the other side. Okay, but before you do that, turn it over and you look at that edge right there that's been used right there. You can see that pitch buildup on there. In order for these blades to sit in there properly, we have to scrape that pitch off of that blade before we can reinstall with the new side facing out. So I'm just going to take a razor scraper and clean this edge off right here, and then we'll reinstall. Okay, as you can see, got all that pitch cleaned off of there, but you can still see which side was the used side. So we're going to put the new side toward the front, okay? Now in here you'll see little nipples here. There's a little nipple here and a little nipple here. Those are going to sit inside of these holes right here. You set it down on there. Hold it down with your hand and take that magnet off, okay? Now you're going to take your plates, and they also have little holes that are going to go on top of those pins, and that's what's going to help line everything up before we tighten it down. Hold it in place, put your couple screws in there, obviously exercising caution, because you can't, that's a new blade. You can cut yourself on the old one, don't get me wrong, but that's a new blade right there. That will fillet you right open. I guarantee it. So be very, very careful when doing this. And obviously make sure the machine is unplugged as well. Okay, take your Allen wrench. Get one side tightened down. Come over here and get your other side tightened down. Then you can run the rest of them down. Now, for whatever reason on a planer, these things tend to tighten up over time. So, you know, all you want to do is run it down till it stops, and then maybe a quarter of a turn. Okay? If you get down on this thing and tighten it as tight as you can get it, I guarantee you're going to have a fight trying to get it back off of there. Okay, once you've finished installing the blades, just take your guard Get your guard fitted back down on there. Okay, that concludes our episode on how to maintenance your thickness planner. It's hard to give you a reference as far as time as to when to maintain your thickness planner, because it all depends on how much it's being used, how much lumber has been passed through it. So really, it's just more or less just keep an eye on it, check on it. You know, look at your drive wheels once in a while and your table, and if you see anything starting to build up, you know, take your 30-40 minutes to break this thing down, get some acetone and clean it up. I mean, the thing about machines though is things start to degrade slowly, and they do it at such a slow rate that you don't notice it. You really don't notice it at all. But once you tear it down, break it down, clean it out, maintain it, service it, you're going to see a tremendous improvement because you just didn't realize how bad it had gotten. So stay on top of your tools, maintain them, treat them right, and they're going to treat you right. Once again, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and don't forget to hit that notification button.